Open source intelligence, or OSINT, is now a critical component of executive protection. As high-profile individuals face increasingly complex risks, the role of the executive protection professional has evolved. It's no longer sufficient to focus solely on physical threats. The ability to gather and analyze information from publicly available sources like news outlets, social media, and government records can be the decisive factor in identifying and mitigating risks early. This training program is designed to help you leverage OSINT techniques specifically for executive protection. You'll learn how to systematically collect and analyze open source data, transforming it into actionable intelligence. By doing so, you'll be better equipped to recognize emerging threats, assess vulnerabilities, and develop proactive security strategies ensuring the highest level of protection for those in your care. On this slide, we'll outline the key objectives for this course. By the end of this training, you'll have a solid understanding of the foundational concepts behind open source intelligence, or OSINT, as they apply to executive protection. We'll start by covering the essential principles and common lifecycle stages of intelligence gathering. Next, you'll learn how to pinpoint which sources of public information are most valuable when assessing risks and supporting executive protection missions. We'll guide you on how to filter and prioritize this information for the most effective outcomes. Once you have the data, we'll focus on how to operationalize it, turning raw intelligence into actionable plans, security protocols, and response measures that are directly relevant to high-profile individual safety. Finally, we'll dive into the practical tools and platforms available for OSINT. You'll get to explore, compare, and use both commercial and open-source solutions, building hands-on skills that will immediately strengthen your protective strategies. Open source intelligence, or OSINT, is all about gathering information from sources that are publicly accessible and legally available to anyone. This distinguishes it from classified or proprietary forms of intelligence. Everything we collect through OSINT comes from the public domain. Because of this, it is incredibly valuable for security professionals. You're working with data that's readily accessible, but the key is how it's collected, processed, and analyzed to answer specific security needs. OSINT isn't valuable simply because of the amount of data out there. Its true power comes from a systematic approach to collection and analysis. This ensures you're not just overwhelmed by information, but instead extracting actionable insights targeted toward your security goals. There are many types of sources we can leverage with OSINT. Core examples include social media platforms and public profiles, news articles and press releases, government filings, and business registries. We also look at online forums, geospatial imagery from mapping services, leaked credential databases, and even academic publications. Each of these can provide unique, sometimes critical, intelligence depending on the context of your mission or threat assessment. With the right methodology, OSINT turns the immense volume of public information into an effective resource for executive protection and security operations. OSINT plays a pivotal role in executive protection by shifting security operations from a reactive approach to a proactive one. By monitoring publicly available information, security professionals can spot potential threats and vulnerabilities before they escalate, allowing teams to neutralize risks early. Real-time insights from OSINT also enhance situational awareness, keeping teams up to date on emerging developments that may impact their principles. One of the key benefits is cost-effectiveness. OSINT expands the intelligence reach without the need for expensive or intrusive measures, making it an efficient way to extend the capabilities of traditional security programs. Furthermore, OSINT acts as a bridge between physical and cybersecurity, enabling cross-functional collaboration. This integration ensures that both digital and real-world threats are considered in protection planning. By incorporating OSINT into their workflows, executive protection teams can allocate resources more effectively and tailor their strategies to the unique risk profile of each individual they protect. Ultimately, leveraging OSINT leads to better informed decisions, reduced reaction times, and a more robust executive protection posture. On this slide, we're looking at the range of VIP profiles and stakeholders who frequently require executive protection services supported by OSINT. This includes executives and CEOs, who can become targets due to their leadership positions and visibility within an industry. They may attract threats from competitors, former employees, or individuals motivated by financial gain. Political figures, such as politicians and diplomats, also require special attention, as their public stances, policy decisions, or symbolic roles can make them focal points for activism or controversy-driven threats. Celebrities and entertainers have risks that are often tied to their public profiles and large fan bases. Issues like stalking, harassment, or invasions of privacy are common concerns for this group. Professional athletes face another unique set of challenges. Their high public visibility, coupled with factors like gambling interests and sports rivalries, can increase their exposure to risk. High net worth individuals are often targeted for financial reasons, including kidnapping, extortion, or theft, due to their perceived wealth. Finally, we have other notable individuals such as activists and social influencers who may have highly specialized threat profiles related to their causes, public positions, or online presence. Each of these groups requires a tailored approach to threat assessment and protection, making it essential to understand their distinct vulnerabilities and the specific risks they face. When working with VIP protection, a critical first step is to systematically identify and assess all online information that could be exploited by adversaries. This 7-step framework guides you through that process. Start by enumerating both personal and family data leaks. You want to pinpoint exactly what personal information is exposed and accessible online, not just about the principal, but their family as well. Next, actively monitor for hostile chatter and sentiment around the principal. This includes tracking negative discussions and direct threats across open forums and social media. A thorough audit of all social profiles and posts is essential. Look for vulnerabilities in the principal's digital footprint. These could be overshared details or poorly secured accounts. Another important component is analyzing travel and accommodation exposure. Evaluate any location data or patterns in the principal's movements that may have been revealed, either intentionally or inadvertently. Continue by tracking all media mentions. This helps you monitor changes in public perception and reputation over time. It's also critical to surface any compromised credentials. Identify leaked accounts and passwords to mitigate the risk of targeted hacking attempts. Finally, map for any physical world security gaps by discovering details about the principal's property, routines, or infrastructure that are available online and could be exploited. By following these 7 steps, you lay the foundation for a robust online risk assessment and help proactively secure high-profile individuals against real-world and digital threats. Step 1 in our framework focuses on collecting and analyzing publicly accessible personal information and media related to the principal. Here, we begin with data broker reconnaissance. This means systematically searching people search sites like Skopeon, been verified, and Intellius to see what personal information is available online. Each finding should be documented, and where possible, you'll want to start the process of removing that information to reduce the principal's digital footprint. Next, image and media analysis are crucial. Gather photos and videos linked to the principal from both social media and news sources. Pay special attention to EXIF data in these files. Details such as GPS coordinates can inadvertently reveal travel patterns or sensitive locations, increasing the risk of targeted threats. Credential exposure checks come next. Use services like Have I Been PWNet and a hash to see if the principal's emails, phone numbers, or passwords have been involved in known data breaches. Exposed credentials might be exploited for phishing or to take over accounts, so the step highlights vulnerable points that require immediate attention. Finally, conduct identity correlation. Cross-reference usernames, emails, and other identifiers across various platforms. This comprehensive mapping helps uncover old or forgotten accounts that may surface additional, sensitive information. All of these steps together form a solid foundation for understanding and minimizing your principal's digital exposure right at the outset. Step 2 focuses on actively monitoring and analyzing online chatter and forums for potential risks to our principal. Start by constructing Boolean queries. These are carefully crafted search strings that combine the principal's name, organization, known aliases, and threat-related keywords. This filtering approach helps us separate meaningful signals from the overwhelming noise in online discussions. Next, deploy API-based monitoring by leveraging social listening APIs. This automates the process of tracking platforms like Twitter and Reddit for emerging threats, ensuring that we are continually updated on any mentions or discussions around our principal. We also recommend infiltrating relevant online communities by maintaining a passive presence in forums associated with extremism, hacktivism, or doxing. These are often the places where targeting of high-profile individuals is initially discussed. Applying sentiment analysis is crucial. Utilizing natural language processing tools allows us to measure the level of hostility and flag spikes in negative sentiment, which could indicate escalating threats. Throughout this process, it's important to set clear alerting thresholds for the type of language that might indicate violent intent or new threat actors. By documenting baseline online chatter, teams can distinguish between routine criticism and genuine threat indicators. This proactive approach strengthens situational awareness and helps preempt potential security incidents. Step 3 focuses on auditing social profiles and posts, which is a critical part of executive protection in today's digital landscape. Research shows that 68% of physical security incidents are actually preceded by social media reconnaissance. High-profile individuals typically make an average of 47 posts per month, and each of these posts has the potential to reveal sensitive details. Alarmingly, 73% of executives have at least one major misconfiguration in their privacy settings, and on average, they maintain accounts on over 9 different platforms. This broad social media footprint increases the risk of exposing personal information. When conducting a social profile audit, it's essential to build a complete inventory of all official and personal accounts across every platform the principal uses. Carefully review privacy configurations, friends or followers lists for potential hostile actors, and dive into historical posts that may contain patterns or sensitive intel. Pay close attention to content that includes travel photos, displays of luxury assets, or details about security protocols. These are common operational security weaknesses. Adversaries often leverage this type of information to plan targeting, so identifying and addressing these exposures is a key responsibility for any protection team. Step 4 focuses on travel and accommodation exposure, a critical area where protective intelligence must be proactive. Modern threat actors have easy access to flight tracking websites and tail number databases. This means details about the principal's air travel, like departure and arrival times, can often be found with just a few clicks. Security teams should regularly check these public sources to understand exactly what information is out there and take steps to restrict access where possible. It's also important to analyze accommodation intelligence. Reviewing social media check-ins and hotel review sites can reveal where a principal prefers to stay. Even something as simple as a location tag or a photo uploaded from a hotel can expose regular travel patterns, creating vulnerabilities that adversaries can exploit. Route vulnerability assessment is another key piece. Using geospatial data, security teams can identify potential choke points or areas where surveillance or ambushes are more likely along typical travel routes. This knowledge enables teams to plan safer alternatives and develop robust contingency plans. Finally, all these OSINT findings should be shared with advanced teams on the ground. By arming them with location-specific intelligence, they can perform more effective site surveys and local threat assessments. This intelligence-driven coordination significantly boosts the overall effectiveness of ground operations and keeps principals safer on the move. In Step 5, we turn our attention to media mentions and reputation monitoring. Media monitoring is a crucial element not only for public relations, but also for physical security. Often, physical threats are preceded by online reputational attacks or negative media coverage. That's why protection teams need to employ automated press clipping services that can capture mentions of the principal or organization across multiple languages, media outlets, and even fringe platforms where extreme viewpoints are more likely to appear. By tracking both positive and negative media mentions over time as illustrated by the sentiment graph here, teams can identify unusual increases in negativity or specific indicators such as deepfakes, impersonation attempts, or orchestrated misinformation campaigns. These digital threats provide valuable warning signs that can signal an elevated risk of physical incidents. Research consistently shows a direct correlation between reputation damage and the likelihood of real-world threats, making media monitoring an essential layer in any holistic security strategy. Step 6 focuses on compromised accounts and leaked credentials, one of the most common ways threat actors gain initial access to high-value targets. To stay ahead of these risks, it's crucial to actively monitor breach marketplaces, dark web forums, and paste sites for any exposed credentials related to the principal or their organization. Credential leaks often act as a precursor for more sophisticated attacks. Alongside this, domain-wide alerts should be implemented to detect credential stuffing attempts. These automated systems look for signs that attackers are trying to use leaked passwords to access protected systems and accounts. It's also important to check for exposed API keys, session tokens, and other access credentials in code repositories and developer platforms. Attackers frequently search these sources for overlooked access tokens that could provide a foothold inside your environment. Based on the threat landscape you observe, enforce stronger authentication methods such as multi-factor authentication and promote the use of password managers. These practices limit the damage even if credentials are exposed, adding an essential layer of defense against evolving threats. Step 7 focuses on identifying and assessing physical world vulnerabilities that are made visible online. Security teams need to be proactive in evaluating how much information about residences and offices is accessible through public sources. This includes real estate listings, building permit databases, and even satellite imagery. Adversaries can combine these data points to map out a target's environment and develop detailed attack plans, so it's crucial to understand what might already be exposed. Protection specialists should also take inventory of any security-related features that are visible, things like access control points, emergency exits, or even CCTV camera placements listed online. By documenting these, you can uncover potential blind spots or weaknesses that sophisticated attackers might use to their advantage. Finally, environmental risk assessment involves correlating property locations with available crime statistics, protest activity, and civil unrest data. This geospatial intelligence adds important context and helps prioritize where your security resources should be focused, ensuring that physical protection strategies are both efficient and effective. The 6 primary risk categories you see on this slide define the core focus areas for any executive vulnerability assessment. Each one represents a unique path that adversaries might use to target high-profile individuals, and it's important for protection specialists to understand that these risks often overlap or work in combination. The first category, personal data exposure, involves detailed personal profiles that can reveal critical vulnerabilities. Next, we have exposed home addresses, where physical location information made public online can enable targeted threats. Exposed email or phone numbers create direct communication channels that attackers can exploit for social engineering or phishing attempts. Predictable location patterns represent another key risk. When routines are visible, attackers can anticipate movements and look for windows of opportunity. Exposed credentials involve compromised usernames or passwords, potentially allowing someone to impersonate the executive or access sensitive systems. Finally, direct and indirect threats refer to any explicit or implied communication expressing harmful intent. Protection teams need to systematically identify and mitigate each of these risks, applying coordinated technical solutions and operational protocols to defend the individual across all these potential attack vectors. Personal data exposure is a critical risk and can act as a gateway for multiple forms of targeted attacks against high-profile individuals. On this slide, we break down how personal information commonly leaks across different platforms and what concrete steps protection specialists should take to mitigate that exposure. Let's start with social media. Details like date of birth, family relations, education, and even political views often end up public, sometimes unintentionally, making it easier for attackers to build accurate profiles. Regular, thorough audits of account privacy settings, as well as scrubbing historical posts, are essential first steps. Next, data brokers compile address histories, contact information, and even property records from a variety of sources. Individuals should routinely submit opt-out requests and, if necessary, leverage legal means to get sensitive details removed from these databases. For professional networks, limiting the granularity of shared work history and connections can dramatically reduce exposure. It's important to vet new connections carefully and avoid publicly listing sensitive milestones or skills that can narrow down security questions or timelines. Lastly, public records such as marriage licenses, court filings, or business registrations can inadvertently reveal personal details. Utilizing legal entity structures or privacy shields can help keep this data out of easy reach from adversaries. The reality is that each piece of exposed information helps attackers bypass traditional security safeguards. Social engineering tactics are often successful because they appear credible to targets and even to well-trained security personnel. Therefore, regular, systematic audits to identify where and how personal data is exposed should be a core operational task for anyone involved in executive protection. Focus particularly on information revealing habits, relationships, or interests, as these details are often leveraged for the most convincing attacks. One of the most persistent and high-risk exposures for executives and VIPs is their home address. This information frequently finds its way into the public domain through channels like real estate transactions, voter registrations, and property tax records, all of which are often accessible through county databases or aggregator sites. These sources make it surprisingly easy for threat actors to pinpoint where a target lies, forming the basis for a wide range of physical security risks. Social media can compound the issue. Posts with geotagged images, photos revealing street signs, or even package delivery shots can inadvertently expose residential details. When these digital footprints are combined with public records, attackers can build a highly accurate profile of a target's location. The direct threat scenarios are serious. An exposed home address can lead to stalking, surveillance, property invasions, or even orchestrated events such as swatting, where false emergency calls result in law enforcement being dispatched to the residence. Family members are particularly at risk here, since they often lack formal security protocols. Mitigation requires a strategic, multi-layered approach, using legal entities like LLCs or trusts to mask property ownership, enrolling in address confidentiality programs, and submitting removal requests to data brokers are foundational steps. Substituting direct home delivery for mail forwarding services or private mailboxes further reduces footprint exposure. Finally, for any address that is already known or impossible to conceal, it's crucial to enhance physical security, implementing surveillance detection, secure perimeters, and direct coordination with law enforcement for rapid response when necessary. Let's take a close look at how exposed emails and phone numbers create substantial risks for executives and VIPs. When it comes to email, exposure can fuel highly targeted phishing campaigns. Attackers use publicly available contacts to craft convincing emails, making it more likely that a principal or a staff member will click a malicious link or share sensitive information. Business email compromise, also known as BEC, is another real threat, where attackers impersonate executives to redirect payments or steal confidential data. Email addresses are also a common vector for unsolicited communications, harassment, and being subscribed to unwanted services, cluttering inboxes and increasing the risk of responding to fraudulent requests. Even more critically, since email addresses are often used for password resets, any compromise here can cascade into account takeovers across linked services. To limit these risks, executive email usage should be compartmentalized with different accounts for public, internal, and sensitive communications. Robust spam filtering and email security tools are key to preventing unwanted or dangerous messages from reaching their targets. Phone number exposure presents its own unique set of vulnerabilities. One major concern is SIM swapping, where attackers take control of a phone number to bypass multi-factor authentication and access protected accounts. Voicemail systems with default PINs are easy targets, making it possible to intercept sensitive messages. Attackers can also spoof phone calls, posing as the executive to trick employees or partners. Phone numbers can even be used for covert location tracking via the cellular network. To counter these threats, dedicated devices, unpublished numbers, frequent security reviews, and secure telecom settings should all be part of any executive protection plan. Both email addresses and phone numbers are often used as the foundation for recovering access to other critical accounts. If an attacker breaches these primary contact methods, it opens the door to financial fraud, personal data theft, and widespread compromise of organizational systems. That's why protecting them is absolutely essential for any high-profile individual or anyone responsible for their security. Predictable routines present a substantial security risk for high-profile individuals. Threat actors are adept at using open-source intelligence and digital footprints to map out daily schedules and recurring activities. Sources such as fitness trackers, social media check-ins, regular meeting times, and transportation preferences all contribute to a detailed understanding of the principal's movements. This intelligence enables adversaries to pinpoint locations and times with the least protection, such as commutes or off-site appointments, creating windows of vulnerability. To address this, protection teams must approach routine analysis from the attacker's perspective. This involves not just observing current patterns, but actively introducing changes, such as varying arrival and departure times, using alternate routes, and occasionally breaking established routines to reduce predictability. It's also critical to manage the use of any application or service that shares real-time or historical location data, ensuring privacy zones are in place around sensitive locations like homes and offices. These strategies help limit exposure and make it significantly harder for adversaries to plan or execute targeted operations. This slide focuses on the topic of exposed credentials or passwords, highlighting some critical statistics and implications for executive protection. Currently, there are over 11.7 billion exposed credentials circulating in underground markets, making this a widespread and urgent issue. A notable 73% of executives are reported to reuse passwords across multiple accounts. This habit drastically increases risk, as attackers can use a single leaked password to gain access to several different systems, from corporate networks to personal email and financial platforms. Another key factor is the short window between a data breach and the availability of those credentials for purchase, often less than 24 hours. With the average loss from business email compromise attacks reaching around $250,000, the stakes are extremely high. The impact of exposed credentials isn't limited to digital compromise. Attackers may leverage this information to conduct business email compromise, steal cryptocurrency, or impersonate the executive, either for financial gain or to inflict reputational damage. In some cases, this can even translate into physical security risks. That's why managing credential exposure and encouraging strong, unique passwords across all systems is essential for executive protection strategies. Direct and indirect threats to executives. Let's explore the types of threats executives may face, which generally fall into three major categories. First, explicit threats or direct communications expressing intent to harm the principal. These may include detailed language about actions or motivations and appear on social media, email, messaging platforms, or forums. Immediate documentation and escalation are necessary, as is a careful analysis of the threat's credibility and the sender's capability. When evidence is sufficient, these threats can become matters for legal intervention. Second, executive risk often extends to family targeting. Threats against family members or close associates are used as leverage, exploiting perceived vulnerabilities or attempting to bypass security protocols. This requires not only expanding protection to include family members, but also implementing family security training and adapting travel or location protocols to minimize risk. Finally, extortion attempts including blackmail, financial demands, or threats of reputational or physical harm are a growing concern. These may involve ransomware, compromising materials, or the fabrication of scandals. Effective response relies on strong digital forensics, legal guidance, and coordination with financial security teams, along with standing policies for non-compliance. Understanding these threats and applying the appropriate protective measures is essential for safeguarding both executives and their extended network. In this slide, we're looking at an overview of the three major threat categories in executive protection: physical threats, digital threats, and indirect threats. Physical threats involve direct risks to personal safety or property, such as bodily harm or property damage. Digital threats, on the other hand, refer to technical attacks aimed at systems and data, including hacking, data breaches, or other forms of cyber intrusion. And then, there are indirect threats which seek to compromise the principal through proxies, such as targeting their reputation, leveraging third parties, or manipulating social or professional networks. Today's threat landscape is highly interconnected. Physical security remains crucial, but protection professionals also need to address the evolving digital and reputational risks that can blend seamlessly with more traditional attack methods. Comprehensive executive protection is about establishing a robust, multi-layered defense. This means integrating physical safety measures with cybersecurity, legal strategies, and reputation management, so your team can detect, analyze, and respond effectively to incidents that may involve more than one threat category at the same time. Building this integrated approach ensures your protection framework is resilient enough to address the complexity of risks faced by high-profile individuals in a rapidly changing environment. Physical threats represent some of the most immediate and potentially dangerous risks faced by high-profile individuals. These threats include targeted violence such as assault, battery, kidnapping, and in rare but severe cases, assassination attempts. Motivation for these attacks varies widely and can stem from ideological beliefs, personal grievances, mental health challenges, or, in the case of kidnapping, financial gain. Beyond direct attacks, property crimes are a significant concern. This includes burglary, theft, vandalism, and arson targeting personal residences, vehicles, and other valuable assets. Individuals with high public profiles often attract sophisticated criminal schemes that require advanced planning, as well as opportunistic crimes involving the theft of high-value items. Hostile surveillance is another important aspect of the physical threat landscape. Adversaries may engage in unauthorized observation, either through electronic means or in person, to track routines, gather intelligence, and identify patterns or vulnerabilities. This surveillance is often a precursor to more serious attacks. Finally, executives can be targets of corporate espionage, where attackers attempt to gain physical access to secure locations or sensitive materials. These operations frequently blend social engineering tactics with physical entry methods to access proprietary information, intellectual property, or trade secrets. An effective executive protection strategy must address each of these physical threat vectors, employing proactive measures, robust protocols, and ongoing training to deter, detect, and respond to incidents before they escalate. Digital threats targeting executives require a specialized, proactive approach. Gone are the days when basic security measures were enough. Modern phishing campaigns use highly detailed personal information, sometimes gathered from social media or public records, to craft messages that can deceive even the most vigilant individuals. If an executive's account is compromised, it can open the door to data breaches, financial losses, or unauthorized access to sensitive corporate resources. Ransomware attacks are another growing concern, often targeting high-profile individuals and organizations, bringing operations to a halt until a ransom is paid. Deepfake technology introduces a new layer of risk, enabling attackers to generate convincing audio or video content that can damage reputations or manipulate stakeholders. Executives are also commonly targeted via mobile devices, where malware can steal credentials or intercept communications. The proliferation of Internet of Things (IoT) devices, everything from smart home systems to connected cars, creates novel entry points that adversaries may exploit. Because these digital threats evolve rapidly, protection teams must partner closely with cybersecurity experts. Technical solutions are crucial, but so is ongoing education for executives, empowering them to recognize suspicious activities and respond effectively. This collaborative, layered strategy is key to safeguarding not just individuals, but the entire organization from emerging digital risks. Indirect threats represent a significant and often underestimated risk to executive security. Threat actors are increasingly targeting family members, including spouses and children who may have less security awareness or fewer protections in place. By exploiting these weaker links, attackers can apply emotional pressure to the principal or bypass traditional security barriers altogether. It's essential to address this issue by educating family members about security best practices, establishing clear communication protocols for use during incidents, and extending security coverage to those family members most at risk based on thorough assessments. Another important area involves reputation and legal threats. Adversaries may weaponize legal systems through frivolous lawsuits, regulatory complaints, or ethics investigations. In parallel, disinformation campaigns can be used to undermine credibility, which not only damages the principal's reputation, but can also have real business and security consequences. Responding effectively demands close coordination between the security, legal, and communications teams to identify patterns early and respond with integrated strategies. Finally, employee grievances pose unique internal risks. Disgruntled current or former employees might have insider knowledge about schedules, vulnerabilities, or security operations. Human resources and security teams need to work together on threat assessments and proactive management of concerning workplace behavior, especially during terminations or other high-risk scenarios. Addressing these indirect threats holistically helps create a resilient executive protection strategy that goes beyond digital safeguards. This slide outlines several key actions to significantly minimize risk for high-profile individuals and their families. First, practicing strong digital hygiene is essential. Applying stringent privacy settings and security controls reduces the amount of personal information exposed online and helps secure accounts against unauthorized access. Continuous monitoring is another critical strategy. Automated tools track online mentions, threats, and other indicators so that any concerning activity can trigger a prompt, proactive response. Conducting thorough due diligence on anyone who may have close contact with the principal can proactively identify possible risks before they escalate. For digital security, maintaining robust credential practices like using strong, unique passwords, multi-factor authentication, and rotating credentials is necessary to protect all accounts from compromise. Reducing an individual's digital footprint is another layer of protection. The legal right to request erasure or to use data removal services can help keep sensitive information out of the wrong hands. When it comes to travel, operational security, commonly known as OPSEC, should guide all planning and execution to avoid exposing travel details or locations unnecessarily. Lastly, maintaining relationships with relevant law enforcement ensures that credible threats can be quickly addressed with an effective, coordinated response. Collectively, these proactive measures help create a layered and resilient security posture. Locking down social media is a fundamental action for minimizing digital risks. The first step is platform-specific security hardening. Ensure that maximum privacy controls are active on every social platform your principal uses. This means setting profiles to private, restricting visibility to pre-approved connections, disabling public search indexing, and making sure access to historical content is tightly controlled. Because each platform has its own unique privacy options, you'll need to review settings and apply best practices accordingly. Next, it's essential to deploy strong two-factor authentication on all social accounts. Hardware security keys are recommended over SMS-based codes for increased protection against phishing or account compromise. This simple step can block most takeover attempts, even if a password leaks in a data breach. For content access controls, make use of granular options like choosing who can tag the principal in posts, comment, or view time-limited content like stories. These features help prevent unauthorized associations or inadvertent reveals of sensitive activities or locations. Finally, perform a historical content audit. Review past posts, photos, and comments to identify and remove anything that discloses private information such as home addresses, travel routines, or personal security measures. Cleaning up old content reduces the chance of adversaries gathering intelligence over time. On this slide, we'll cover the concept of continuous monitoring of chatter and news related to the principal. The first step is to define precise monitoring parameters. This means you'll want to create a list that includes all variations of the principal's name, names of family members, affiliated organizations, key topics of interest, and any relevant threat indicators. Using Boolean logic in your queries will help filter out irrelevant data and focus on what really matters. Next, automate the collection process. Leverage social listening platforms, news aggregators, and specialized OSINT tools. Set up keyword, hashtag, and geofence alerts, and adjust notification thresholds depending on the principal's risk profile. This ensures you're capturing critical information as soon as it emerges. Equally important is establishing routine human analysis cycles. Even the best automated systems can miss context or subtle patterns, so scheduled reviews by human analysts provide valuable insight. By documenting normal activity, it's much easier to spot anomalies that could indicate a developing threat. Finally, integration is key. Make sure these monitoring feeds are connected to your broader security infrastructure, such as SIEM or SOAR platforms. This allows you to automate responses and coordinate both physical and digital security measures, resulting in a far more robust and agile protection program. When it comes to protecting high-profile individuals, thorough background checks and vetting are essential to mitigating insider threats. For anyone with access to the principal, whether that's household staff, drivers, or contractors, implement a comprehensive screening process. This should include looking into criminal records, financial background, and also conducting a detailed review of their online and social media presence, as well as verifying contact details. Beyond the checks that candidates provide, it's best practice to dig deeper with reference verifications. Explore professional networks like LinkedIn to find additional contacts who can offer candid feedback. This often uncovers information and character insights that wouldn't appear in a standard employment check. Security integrity is an ongoing process. That's why continuous monitoring protocols are so important. Set up systems that can flag significant changes in an employee's life, such as signs of financial distress or unusual online activity, and schedule regular rescreenings. This way, the organization maintains an up-to-date risk profile and is better prepared to prevent vulnerabilities from turning into incidents. A strong password hygiene strategy is critical to protecting the principal's digital identity and sensitive accounts. To start, Implementing an enterprise-grade password manager for the principal and their inner circle ensures strong, unique credentials are generated for every service they use. These platforms are designed to reduce risk by removing the need to remember complex passwords, but should always be set up with rigorous access controls and recovery processes. It's best to use solutions with a zero-knowledge architecture, meaning only the user holds the encryption keys. No one else, not even the provider, can access saved credentials. Beyond that, organizational policy should require unique passwords for every account. Reusing credentials is a major vulnerability. This is especially important for high-value accounts like banking, email, and cloud storage, which should be separated from more routine services. Technical controls, such as custom scripts, can be put in place to flag or block password reuse within the credential ecosystem. Finally, to take authentication a step further, it's vital to migrate sensitive accounts to hardware security keys that comply with FIDO2 standards. These physical devices add a robust layer of phishing resistance by requiring something the user possesses in addition to what they know. Always set up multiple backup keys and store them securely to prevent accidental lockouts, and make sure there's a clear process for rotating keys if staff roles change. Taken together, these steps create a highly resilient foundation against targeted attacks on the principal's digital life. In this section, we're discussing how to exercise the right to erasure, sometimes known as the right to be forgotten. Protection teams need a strong understanding of the legal landscape, particularly regulations like the GDPR in Europe and CCPA in California. These laws provide individuals with the authority to request the deletion of their personal information from commercial databases and public platforms. Each regulation details how requests must be submitted, strict timelines for response, and escalation procedures, so it's essential to adhere to these rules for successful outcomes. The practical side starts with building an exhaustive list of all data brokers and online services where the principal's information is stored. This allows protection teams to systematically approach removal. Standardized takedown request templates should be crafted to match the requirements of each platform, often including identity verification. When dealing with broad data exposure, specialized data removal services can be invaluable. They automate takedown requests, monitor progress, and provide compliance reports. Every step needs to be documented, from submission dates to confirmation receipts, creating a complete audit trail. This documentation is crucial if you ever need to file a complaint with regulatory authorities against non-compliant companies. Keep in mind, data erasure is not a one-and-done task. New exposures and reappearances are common, often due to data scraping or secondary sources. That's why it's important to plan for regular, quarterly reviews, ensuring continuous data suppression and sustained privacy for the principal. Comprehensive travel and event security requires a proactive approach, starting with detailed threat assessments for each destination. This means researching current geopolitical situations, local crime patterns, potential civil unrest, and identifying known threats or hostile actors operating in the area. To get accurate and up-to-date information, protection teams should use both open-source data and, if possible, classified intelligence from trusted partners or official channels. When it comes to operational security, there are several critical tactics. For example, making reservations under generic or code names, and masking private aircraft details like tail numbers helps reduce exposure. Secure transportation should be arranged with unpredictable routes to prevent potential surveillance or targeting. It's also a best practice to send advance teams to conduct on-site reconnaissance before the principal's arrival, verifying security arrangements and looking for any red flags. Finally, it's vital to maintain strong collaboration with venue security and local law enforcement. This coordinated approach not only enhances the overall security posture, but also ensures everyone is aligned and able to adapt quickly should emergencies or unexpected situations arise. Being prepared in this way allows for both robust protection and flexibility, which are essential for safeguarding high-profile individuals during travel and public events. When a credible threat is identified, it's crucial to escalate the situation efficiently and effectively to law enforcement. Building relationships with relevant agencies like local police departments or FBI field offices should happen before any incidents arise. Identify specific contacts, keep updated contact cards with direct numbers and protocols, and commit to ongoing relationship building through periodic meetings. Participating in public-private security partnerships helps reinforce these connections. When an incident occurs, prepare evidence packets that meet legal standards. This means compiling screenshots with preserved metadata, creating detailed threat timelines, and adding relevant background about the principal's public persona. Ensure that all digital evidence maintains a clear chain of custody and include professional threat assessments, as well as documentation of any related incidents or patterns. Finally, navigating jurisdictional complexity is essential. Understand the legal requirements that trigger law enforcement intervention in various locations, especially for threats that might cross state or international borders. Research applicable statutes, know which agency has jurisdiction over each threat type, and be prepared for cases to transfer between agencies if needed. This preparation streamlines law enforcement engagement and maximizes the likelihood of an effective response. On this slide, we're looking at the current landscape of OSINT or open source intelligence tools relevant to executive protection. The ecosystem is rapidly advancing, with commercial tools now offering features like automated social media intelligence, advanced people search engines, breach monitoring, geospatial intelligence, and dark web surveillance. These platforms can significantly streamline your workflow, providing both real-time and historical data that would be difficult or impossible to gather manually. When evaluating these tools, it's critical to consider whether their data sources and coverage align with your organization's specific protection needs. Compliance with legal regulations is also mandatory, especially since data privacy and cross-border operations can introduce significant complexity. Integration with your existing security infrastructure should be seamless, and the user interface needs to support quick decision-making, especially during time-sensitive incidents. Most robust executive protection programs employ a hybrid model that combines commercial solutions with custom open-source tools. This approach helps to ensure both broad coverage and the flexibility to adapt to new or emerging threat vectors. Ultimately, the right toolset supports your team's ability to detect, analyze, and respond to risks efficiently and effectively. And Skopeon is purpose-built for comprehensive person of interest investigations. It automates the process of collecting and correlating information from hundreds of data sources, which significantly strengthens executive protection efforts. One of the key advantages of this platform is its ability to uncover hidden connections between individuals, organizations, and online identities, relationships that might never surface through manual research alone. A standout feature of Skopeon is its multi-source aggregation. It seamlessly merges social media activity, public records, professional histories, and data breach information into unified, easy-to-analyze profiles. This holistic approach provides protection teams with a rapid, accurate understanding of potential threats and highlights exposed elements within a principal's information ecosystem. The platform's robust visual analytics make it much easier to understand complex relationships. Its relationship graphing helps analysts spot non-obvious connections and influence networks, while timeline visualization tracks the progression or escalation of threatening behavior, an essential aspect of early intervention. Finally, Skopeon simplifies intelligence production by offering customizable reporting templates designed specifically for executive protection. Teams can quickly generate polished, actionable intelligence reports for principals and stakeholders, streamlining their workflow without sacrificing depth or quality of analysis. Social Links and CrimeWall together deliver a highly advanced set of capabilities for protective intelligence teams. The Social Links platform is considered a leading solution in the field, offering multi-go-style graph analytics that are fine-tuned for mapping relationships, influence networks, and emerging threat vectors. This visual mapping is powered by direct API integrations with more than 500 platforms, which include coverage of both surface web and dark web sources. CrimeWall, as the flagship product, stands out when it comes to identifying and monitoring threat actors across a broad spectrum of online spaces, including mainstream social networks and fringe communities where targeting of high-profile individuals often begins. A significant advantage here is the platform's ability to leverage automated pattern recognition to spot shifts in behavior or sentiment sometimes before an explicit threat is even made. Some of the standout features include automated entity resolution, which connects identities across different platforms, making it possible to track persons of interest even as they attempt to mask their online presence. Temporal analysis tools let you monitor how sentiment and behavior evolve over time, a crucial part of understanding escalation. Custom alerts can be set up to notify your team based on key behavioral indicators, helping you stay ahead of potential threats. The system also includes cross-lingual monitoring and translation, expanding your reach into foreign language threats, along with advanced clustering technology that uncovers coordinated campaigns targeting your principal. Additionally, geospatial intelligence capabilities allow you to perform location-based threat assessments, which is particularly important for situational awareness during events or travel. These features combine to provide a robust toolkit for comprehensive and proactive executive protection intelligence. Nexus Explore brings a hybrid approach to open-source intelligence, or OSINT, by combining automated collection with human verification and enrichment. This makes every piece of intelligence not just quick to obtain, but also highly reliable, something executive protection teams find invaluable, since false positives can have serious consequences in their line of work. You can see the platform accesses an enormous volume of data, including 9.2 million public records like property, court, and business documents, and draws from more than 230 integrated sources. That means a wide and deep reach, whether you're looking to verify people, check vehicle registrations, or research businesses in real time. What makes Nexus Explore especially unique is its focus on field operations. The platform is designed for fast, effective use on the move, with a mobile-first interface to support agents during active missions. On average, it only takes 3 minutes from query to actionable intelligence, making it possible to quickly vet unknown individuals or assess locations as situations develop. The result is a tool that empowers security teams with immediate, context-rich information, exactly when and where they need it most. Samdesk is a cutting-edge tool designed to elevate situational awareness through AI-driven crisis detection. By constantly scanning social media, local news, emergency communications, and official alerts, Samdesk provides real-time notifications for emerging incidents, often identifying threats before they're reported by traditional news sources. The platform's machine learning models are trained on extensive crisis data and can accurately recognize events such as civil unrest, terrorist attacks, natural disasters, and major transportation disruptions. For executive protection teams, Samdesk offers the ability to set up customized geofences around critical locations, including offices, residences, and travel destinations. Whenever a potential incident occurs within these zones, teams receive instant alerts so they can respond or reroute as needed. This real-time, location-specific intelligence is particularly valuable for advanced teams as they prepare site visits, and for security details who need timely, actionable information to manage safe movements and respond dynamically to changing situations. McGray PeopleMon is a powerful tool for extracting actionable intelligence from social media. Using advanced data mining, it doesn't just monitor active content, it also accesses historical archives, retrieving even deleted posts from all major platforms. This breadth of coverage is crucial for building a complete intelligence picture. One of the key strengths of PeopleMon is its use of natural language processing to assess the tone of online conversations about protected individuals. It doesn't just detect negative sentiment, it also applies influence scoring to determine which users actually have the reach and credibility to mobilize others. This lets security teams prioritize which actors to focus on. The platform's ability to track sentiment over time, what we call longitudinal monitoring, makes it possible to spot gradual escalation long before a threat becomes acute. This continuous historical record helps teams catch individuals who may be shifting from passive interest to actively planning. Finally, the system maps out social networks, providing visualizations of connections not just around the principal, but also among potential threat actors. This network view uncovers pathways of influence and patterns that a simple post-by-post review could easily miss, supporting much more informed protective strategies. Shadow Dragon Horizon offers a robust suite of capabilities focused on technical threat monitoring and attribution. One of its key features is passive DNS monitoring, which allows analysts to see how domain names associated with threat actors have changed over time. This historical perspective is invaluable when tracking the evolution of adversary infrastructure, particularly when suspicious assets or coordinated targeting campaigns are suspected. Geolocation intelligence is another major strength of the platform. Horizon can extract and correlate location data from various sources, giving security teams the ability to spot geographic patterns that might be relevant to threat actor movements or to the activities of individuals they're tasked with protecting. The system goes further by fusing social media intelligence with technical indicators. This means analysts can build much more comprehensive threat actor profiles connecting a person's online persona to technical activities and even to real-world identities and locations. Finally, Horizon's infrastructure mapping capabilities reveal the technical underpinnings of adversary operations. Its correlation engine can unmask anonymous accounts, identify the use of proxy services, and uncover the channels threat actors use to communicate. Altogether, these modules give security teams a clear operational advantage in early detection and attribution of emerging threats. In this slide, we break down the core OSINT workflow and best practices, highlighting how an effective open-source intelligence process is built on a structured intelligence cycle. Everything starts with clearly defining intelligence requirements, aligning directly with your organizational protection objectives. Well-articulated goals and key performance indicators help focus the subsequent stages. Once requirements are set, the next step is to automate the collection process, deploying specialized tools to efficiently gather only the relevant information, while preserving evidentiary integrity. This is crucial to avoid collecting unnecessary data and overwhelming your analysts. After collection, structured analytic techniques are applied. This step is essential for minimizing cognitive biases and ensuring findings are validated with a systematic approach. When producing intelligence, it's important to tailor reports for your audience, tactical intelligence for protection teams, operational summaries for security managers, and strategic assessments for senior leadership or executives. Finally, the entire intelligence cycle should undergo consistent review and refinement. Regular feedback and attention to evolving threats allow you to continuously improve the effectiveness of your OSINT program and ensure it remains both relevant and actionable. This case study highlights just how quickly online information exposure can escalate into real-world risks. Here, a technology CEO became a target when personal address details and even satellite imagery were leaked on Reddit after a controversial product launch. The exposure didn't end there. Environmental activist groups picked up the information, widely sharing it and organizing an on-site protest, as reflected by a dramatic spike in hostile posts. Thanks to robust OSINT monitoring, the security team caught these developments early. They acted fast, boosting physical security at the residence, bringing in local police for extra patrols, and moving the executive's family to a safe location. The response also included legal actions, with emergency judicial orders used to remove threatening content from major platforms. Continuous OSINT monitoring then flagged alternative channels where the information was reappearing, allowing the team to pursue further takedowns. Ultimately, this incident underscores why having structured OSINT processes in place matters. The team's early warning capabilities were crucial in preventing direct threats to the executive and family. And afterward, they went further, restructuring property ownership and suppressing digital traces to harden privacy moving forward. This proactive, layered approach is essential for anyone responsible for executive protection in our current threat landscape. In this practical exercise, you'll be applying the core principles of OSINT collection for executive protection. Working in small teams, your first task is to build a targeted collection plan. Together, you'll determine which information sources are most relevant, set your collection priorities, and organize a clear framework to systematically gather intelligence that aligns with specific protection needs. Next, you'll take on the role of analyst and investigate a simulated VIP's digital footprint. This involves conducting a thorough review of their social media, property records, business ties, and any publicly accessible data that could help you spot potential security vulnerabilities. The goal here is to assemble a complete risk profile based on your findings. Finally, you'll develop and present a set of recommended risk mitigation strategies. These should address both short-term fixes like tightening privacy settings and longer-term solutions, such as reducing public property ownership records or establishing stricter access controls. Your recommendations should demonstrate how to lower the principal's overall attack surface and enhance their security posture in the digital age. Before you begin any OSINT collection for executive protection, it's crucial to understand the ethical and legal environment you're operating in. This slide breaks down some of the most significant legal frameworks you'll encounter and the practical impact they have on your intelligence activities. Starting with the GDPR in the European Union, it mandates a lawful basis for processing personal data, requires that you only collect what's absolutely necessary, and enforces strong rights for data subjects. In practice, this means your collection scope is narrowed, you'll need deletion protocols for data, and you may be prohibited from using certain investigative techniques. In the US, The California Consumer Privacy Act, or CCPA, focuses on transparency. If your OSINT efforts touch on California residents, you're required to disclose your collection activities and honor any opt-out or deletion requests. Beyond government regulation, every online platform has its own terms of service. These often forbid automated data collection or put limits on how you can use their APIs. Scraping a website without permission isn't just a technical issue, it could lead to account bans or even legal trouble. The Electronic Communications Privacy Act is another key statute. It prohibits intercepting or monitoring private digital communications. So, your OSINT gathering must avoid private messages and any protected content. You should only collect data that's truly public. Ethically, make a strict distinction between open source intelligence versus intrusive surveillance. Avoid any technique that crosses into hacking, social engineering, or identity misrepresentation. Respect privacy in non-public contexts. Good OSINT practice includes documenting consent, where required, and establishing controls for how long data is stored and how it's protected. If you're working with partners, make sure your data sharing is covered by clear policies. And, because legal standards are constantly changing, regular reviews and updates to your OSINT process are essential for both compliance and maintaining professional ethics. Let's wrap up with some key points and actionable next steps for integrating OSINT into executive protection. First, it's essential to implement continuous improvement by regularly reviewing and refining your OSINT processes. This allows you to quickly adapt to new threats, technologies, and legal requirements. Next, make OSINT a core part of your protective operations workflow. Intelligence gathered from open sources should feed directly into everything from risk assessments and travel planning to daily security routines and advanced work. This ensures your security posture is proactive, not just reactive. Ongoing training is also critical. Invest time in upskilling your team and maintaining proficiency with both traditional and emerging OSINT tools. As open source platforms evolve, so should your methods and expertise. Finally, remember that executive protection doesn't operate in a vacuum. Building connections with other intelligence professionals through sharing networks will help you stay ahead of threat actors and benefit from collective insights and best practices. By embracing a mindset of continuous learning and collaboration, while embedding OSINT across your operations, you'll position yourself to anticipate threats rather than simply respond to them, elevating your overall standard of executive protection. For further enrichment and to help you deepen your expertise, I've pulled together a selection of references and resources. First, the OSINT Framework at osintframework.com is an interactive resource that organizes a wide range of open-source intelligence tools by category and use case. It's frequently updated and can serve as a solid foundation for developing your own OSINT toolkit tailored to executive protection needs. On the publishing side, Michael Bazel's Open Source Intelligence Techniques is considered a go-to resource for practitioners, providing detailed, step-by-step guidance on hundreds of collection methods. Additionally, Stratter Threat Lens reports are useful for understanding global security risks that may impact executives, especially those with international responsibilities. When it comes to technical standards, NIST Special Publication 800-150 lays out a clear approach for cyber threat information sharing. This document is valuable if you're looking to formalize your intelligence sharing relationships and adopt secure protocols across your team or organization. Lastly, I recommend connecting with professional communities. Both OSINT International's Executive Protection Council and the Association of Threat Assessment Professionals offer specialized training, resources, and networking opportunities, all designed to refine intelligence-driven protective practices. Leverage these resources to stay current, build your capability, and strengthen your professional network within the executive protection field.